everyone, welcome to Love to Create by Tonya. Today I'm working on Christmas DIYs, and these two DIYs turned out so charming. I think you're going to love them. Let's go ahead and get started with DIY number one. Now in this design we're going to be making a set of skis. For my design I used balsa wood that I had got marked down at Michael's store, but you could use cardboard or foam board for this design. Now I'm also going to be using a round dowel rod and then these pomegranate berries that were from the fall decor that I'm going to paint white. Now I'm going to be using this greenery pick that I found at Hobby Lobby. I showed you that in my last haul. And I just love this one. It's so full and there's just a lot that you can do with it, and you only need one bunch for a design like this. Now I'm also going to be making use of that pool noodle that I picked up, and I absolutely love this burlap ribbon. Now I'm going to be taking that Adirondack white paint and some of that fawn paint, and those are going to be the colors that I'm going to use for this design. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get that Adirondack white paint on those berries and let that be drying. And I'm going to measure these dowel rods out about 18 inches. I actually pre-cut those, but I wanted to show you what saw I used for that. And I did go ahead and get my pool noodles wrapped in my duct tape, and I'm going to put a layer of chalk paint on those and then a layer of the fawn colored chalk paint on top of that. Now I'm just going to cut a section out of this, and the reason why I'm doing that is I want to curl it back up so that the dowel rod will fit snugly down in there, and once I get it all taped up and painted, it makes the perfect little handle knob. And I like using duct tape for this type of design because the duct tape holds really well and you don't have to worry about it coming loose. Now I did already pre-cut these, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how I actually cut these. And what I do is I measure down about 6 inches on each side. And then I just kind of eyeballed it and just did a slight angle just to give these boards the shape of the top of a ski. Now these were 28-inch boards, which I thought this was the perfect size because you could actually use this design for a door greeter. You could put it on your fireplace. You could just set it up and lean it up against something. But it was a wonderful design, and I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I hope you're going to really enjoy this one also. Now you can see I'm showing you how once I got one cut, I just used the top one to go ahead and cut the bottom one, and that way I knew that they were even and measured out the same size. Now I'm going to water down that fawn chalk paint because I want this to go on really smooth, and I do end up taking that Waverly clear wax and just blending it in, and that is a really neat technique to do. You can put your chalk paint on there and then just take a little bit of that clear wax and just it blends so perfectly. Look at this. Now that everything is painted and dried, we can go ahead and start assembling our set of skis. Now I'm going to use that Gorilla Hot Glue, and it holds really well. Keep in mind, this balsa wood is very, very thin, so it's very easy to work with. Now I'm going to take that one bunch of greenery and just cut it apart. And everyone, I love the bunches of greenery from Hobby Lobby. They're very full, and they're usually marked down to 40%, so it's such a great deal. And they actually had a set of skis like this. They're at Hobby Lobby, and this is where I got the idea to make this, because I think that one was like $50 or something. Now I'm just going to keep gluing little pieces of my greenery just to get them where I want them and the type of fullness that I want for this design. And I always like to add just a little bit of the red pitberry, and I'm a fan of the more rich color tones in the reds and violets and kind of that purplish red. And the Sled is going to be done in Merlot chalk paint, and I hope you're hanging around for that one because it turned out so beautiful. Now I'm going to be attaching my ski poles with some of the wire that I had pulled up from where I attached the greenery. And then I'm going to add a dab of that Gorilla Hot Glue in there, and that will hold them in place. Now I'm going to take that extra wire and I'm going to just pull it around to the back. You'll see me flip it over here in a moment. And that's going to give you a place to attach a hanger for your set of skis. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take that wide burlap ribbon, and I'm sorry I was a little far back on the camera here when I was filming this, but I still got that bow video coming up for you, so you'll be able to see how I do all of these. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wide ribbon, and this is a very thick burlap, so it cut into strips really, really well. And I just cut several strips, and then I'm just going to be folding those over and making some slits in the middle and adding some streamers, and it makes just a charming bow for this design. So don't think if the ribbon is too wide that you can't make a bow, because you definitely can. And you can see I'm just folding that over all the layers, and then I like to cut little slits there in the middle, and that way you can wire this, and wire does work the best for me for this design because it makes everything really tight. That way when you're opening the bow, everything stays in place. And of course with burlap you always got the string, so I just kind of pulled those off. Now I'm going to finish this design up by adding a few more of those pomegranate berries that I painted white. And then I'm just going to fluff up my bow a little bit and finish adding a little round piece of wire to the back there for hanging. But everyone, I love how this set of skis turned out. We actually live near a ski slope, so that's a pretty big thing in our area. But this was such a wonderful design. So definitely let me know what you think of this one in the comments below. And if this is a design that you're definitely going to try to make. Well, everyone, I hope you are still with me. Don't go anywhere, because the little mini sled that I am going to create, I'm going to show you how to do that with using little pieces of scrap wood. We're going to be using some paint sticks, and I didn't quite have enough wood to do this, but I made it work. So here is DIY number 2. The only supplies I used for this design was a pack of those stir sticks from Lowe's and a couple of the balsa wood that I had purchased for $1 each. And then I saved my scraps that I had from the previous design. Now I'm going to take the 2 bigger pieces of the balsa wood and we're going to cut those in half. And that way I can use these to make the slats for the sled. Now, once I get all of my pieces cut, I'm going to place them together and I'm going to angle them. You can see kind of lifting each one up a little bit higher. And that way I can cut it out in the shape of the sled at the bottom. Now, once I get my boards placed where I want them to be, I'm going to go ahead and tape them down with a piece of duct tape, and that will hold them firmly in place so I can cut the angle of the bottom of the sled. Now, after I get everything cut out and sanded, then I'm going to take all those scrap pieces of wood and I'm just going to piece them together to form the top part of the sled. And this just shows you how you don't always have to have the exact cut out pieces to make something. There's always different ways when you're crafting to use all of the little scrap pieces of wood to still create a really beautiful design. Now I'm going to take my 2 short pieces of the board after I've got them rounded off around the edges, and I'm just going to glue those right to the very edge of the top of that center board. And you can see this is just a way to make a design. When you don't quite have enough wood, you can still create a really beautiful design. Now, where I'm going to glue that second board on top of the first one, there's going to be a little space underneath, and all you need to do is take a piece of scrap wood and put underneath there, and that's going to raise the second board up enough where everything will glue down flat. Now I'm going to make use of those paint stir sticks that I found, and I'm going to glue one of those across the bottom there, and that's going to be the support for the bottom part of the sled. And then I'm going to do the same thing up top. And you can see how this is already coming together and it's starting to look like a sled. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut off those extra pieces because I'm going to be using them in part of the design where I'm going to make the handle part. Now I wanted to do a rounded handle for the top of this one, but I couldn't do that, so I ended up taking and just angling the boards, which, since it was a decor piece, it worked great and it allowed me to use up all of my scrap wood. Now I'm just going to take another little piece of that scrap and put that there for support. But everyone, I hope you're enjoying this design. I think it's always fun when we can take some of the pieces that we have just kind of laying around or left over and use them to make such a beautiful design. Now I'm going to go ahead and add that Merlot chalk paint, and it did only take one coat. This covered really well. And I love how rich and warm this Merlot is for the Christmas season. It's just a very warm, rich color tone. And you can see once I start getting our little mini sled painted, it really starts bringing it to life. Now, I decided to take some of those snowflakes that I had purchased at Dollar Tree. These are the ones that come on the rope twine. They look like garland. And I just decided, instead of putting a saying or any kind of words or letters on this design, I just wanted to have these snowflakes because I thought this would be such a great design to keep up all through the winter. And of course, I'm using that other greenery sprig that I had purchased at Hobby Lobby that I showed you in my last haul. And you can see once I start adding the greenery, it doesn't matter that I use pieces of scrap wood to create this design, because a lot of it's going to be covered up with all of the accent pieces and final touches that we add. Now I'm going to go ahead and just add my bow to this design, and then I think I'll put some rusty bells on here and a few pine cones. Now for the bow, I'm just going to do this where I just fold the loops over and then make a really short streamer. This ribbon is the ribbon that I had found at Hobby Lobby, and it's a very light neutral, kind of a burlap feel, and it's got that neat little fringy design, and I thought it was just perfect for the decor that I'm going to be using this year. Now once you get as many loops on your bow as you would like, you do the same thing. You just cut that little slit in the middle there, and then you add your streamer. I did end up cutting my streamers down just a little bit shorter after I got this one hung up on the wall. Well, everyone, here is my mini sled made out of all scrap wood pieces, and I think it turned out so charming, and it's going to make a great little decor piece to go with my Christmas decor this year. Well, everyone, I hope you did enjoy today's DIYs. I know I enjoyed so much creating these for you. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you do consider doing so. And if you are a subscriber, once again, I thank you so much for your support. And let me know if you did like these DIYs today. And if so, please give them a thumbs up. Well, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed weekend. And I will see you on the next one.